Witcher 3's been out for a couple months, and by now it is established as one of the best games so far this year, and one of the best RPGs ever made. Fans and critics alike have praised the game for its level of detail, its expansive and rich open world, its exciting combat, and its technical prowess. The aforementioned are all praiseworthy aspects of the game, but where The Witcher 3 truly surpasses its predecessors and many other games is in its writing. The object of this video, the first in a new series for only single player, is to delve deeper into The Witcher 3's writing and discover some of what makes it so rich, so adult, and so fun to interact with. Over the next few weeks, I'll be looking at more of The Witcher 3 in detail, and then the series will turn to other games with likewise exemplary writing and storytelling. Keep in mind, the interpretations that I draw will be subjective. These are my observations, and every player is welcome to agree or disagree. The point of this video is not to claim, in no uncertain terms, that a certain game's story absolutely means a certain thing. It is to highlight the narrative depth and the fundamental interpretability of the story. Also, spoilers. Lots and lots of spoilers in this video, so if you're worried about any element of the Witcher 3 story being ruined for you, I suggest you find something else to watch. It seems only right to start with the Bloody Baron. If you've played the game, you know the Baron and something of his family. At first, the Baron is tied to the main quest, and the player's advancement through the game demands interaction with him. It isn't until Geralt learns all that he can about Ciri that he is free to abandon the Baron or further involve himself in the wretched man's family matters. In this video, Geralt will, of course, explore the various narrative paths that further involvement allow, but to begin, let's take a look at the Baron's introduction.
Me and my Annie, oh, how we danced, how we twirled, ha ha ha!
Oh!
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hey!
Enough. I don't care how you do it, but the deliveries must be weekly.
Won't you stay for tea?
No. Besides, you've another guest.
Geralt first encounters the Baron while the latter converses with some Nilfgaardians outside the house. The frustration of the Nilfgaardians and the jovial behavior of the Baron make it clear that the latter has probably been drinking, and if you know anything about the Baron, this is not an unlikely hypothesis. Back inside, the Baron immediately seeks out more booze, offering a drink to Geralt. In my playthrough, Geralt stood opposed to the Baron and his ways, and I tried to be consistent in that approach.
Put the bloody vodka. Ah, there it is. A snifter.
No thanks. Didn't come here to drink.
Much of what the Baron says and does in his first 5 minutes of game time intimates his real problem, that he is an alcoholic. He's also a liar. He asks Geralt to find his wife and daughter, but lies about the circumstances of their disappearance. Interestingly, once Geralt discovers the truth, and the Baron tells his own version of the truth, he seems to genuinely believe the lies he tells, making out like Tamara and his wife were sometimes frustrated, but ultimately happy.
Expect me to believe you are a loving father to Tamara after that scene in the courtyard?
You're free to believe whatever you wish, but she was always the apple of my eye. She had the run of the place, ask anyone. Dear daughter, you return after all. Come, don't deny me this embrace.
Stay away from me. I've come for Mother. Unlike you, I'll not see her rot in this swamp.
Why the hell do you think I'm here? To take her home?
Oh, you'll do no such thing. You'll not lay a finger on her. Never. I'll not let you.
He's clearly in denial, which he has to be given his condition. Alcoholics and abusive spouses who are honest with themselves usually don't stay alcoholics or abusers for long. They admit their problems and they seek treatment. The Baron can't do that. He lies to himself and he lies to others. He lives in a world of his own delusions in order to feel secure, just like millions of people in the real world today. And, of course, there is the botchling to consider.
Fucking what?
One of The Witcher 3's more disturbing monsters, the botchling, like the rest of the game's content, is based in Slavic mythology. In medieval myth, the botchling, or boronye, forgive my pronunciation, is an aborted or miscarried fetus that returns to haunt pregnant women, causing them harm. As a medieval superstition, the botchling is pretty easy to interpret. It might be a form of punishment for human failure or frailty, the kind the devil might afflict mortals with. Societal fears about sex, pregnancy, and abortion, as well as notions of sin, can lead to taboos and strange ideas like the botchling in any society, even today. The Witcher 3 makes no mention of abortion initially, instead focusing on miscarriage and a lack of funeral rites.
Sometimes miscarried fetuses, if they don't get a proper burial, turn into botchlings.
This makes the botchling more of a family concern, the result of a broken home, and less of a penance for so-called sins that many societies are reevaluating today. Geralt later learns that the botchling is the result of an indirect abortion, the work of the crones at the request of Anna, the Baron's wife. This begs the question, is the botchling punishment for Anna seeking an abortion, or is it the result of the Baron destroying his family? Following the thread of blame in any causal sequence is tricky, but I think the game makes one thing clear. The botchling is the result of neglect, the lack of a naming, of a proper funeral, and ultimately a loving home to enter into creates a lingering curse, a pain that must be acknowledged and dealt with. It is only after the Baron acknowledges the child, gives it a name, and gives it a proper burial that healing occurs. The botchling is transformed into a loverkin, a friendly spirit that will guide Geralt towards the Baron's wife and daughter. Once the family's pain is converted to a healing power, it seeks only to reunite them, to make the family whole, never mind its lack of knowledge of the family's history and status. The botchling represents the trauma and pain of broken homes and their effect on children, unborn or otherwise. In an extremely dark, fantastical way, yes, but it leaves room for redemption and healing, allowing people to make amends for their past mistakes as they can and should in the real world. The demon fetus turned friendly spirit leads Geralt to a hut in the woods, inhabited by what seems to be a functional family that helped Tamara and Anna when they first ran from the Baron.
Why help them at all? You risked a lot.
I did that. Owed Miss Tamara. 3 moons passed, a fever gripped my boy. We thought he was done for. Tamara alerted, brought food and salves. We're poorer than dirt itself. She saved my boy. No two ways about it. Me, myself, I'd have never dared to help. But my missus told me a time of war and contempt's come, a time of folk gone wrong. We needs to repay good with good. Who stands by idly does evil as if.
Married a wise woman.
The scene is a faint vision of peace and hope in an otherwise dark and chaotic quest line. The juxtaposition of the Baron's ruined family with one that appears to be whole, with a husband that heeds the wisdom of his spouse, is powerful. Geralt eventually learns that a beast absconded with Anna and Tamara fled to Oxenfurt.
What will you do now?
Find my mum.
You realize that might not be that easy.
Don't worry, I'm not daft enough to believe I can do it alone. I've got some new friends now. Powerful friends. They'll help me.
Who are these friends, if it's not a secret?
No secret. Heard of the Church of the Eternal Fire? A priest helped me contact the Redanian witch hunters. Righteous, brave men. They'll help me.
Hence the candlesticks in your room. So you believe in the eternal fire?
Once the heat of the fire has set your heart aflame, it gives you strength and leads you down the path of truth for the rest of your life. I hope it'll bless you with its warmth one day.
Thanks. Thing is, fire's tricky. It's easy to get burned.
Now, to my mind, this is where things get really interesting. Tamara has new friends, powerful friends, as she claims. Tamara, after fleeing her father, a power-hungry, violent drunk, aligns herself with the Church of the Eternal Fire, a power-hungry, violent, and oppressive organization. Unconsciously or consciously, Tamara trades one tyrant for another. She displays classic symptoms of psychological scarring and even some slight codependency. Her family was out of control as she grew up. Her father was an abusive, raging alcoholic. Children of alcoholics often feel out of control and anxious to extreme degrees. They develop a desperate need to control and fix those around them, but they are never able to, and it usually takes years of therapy for them to detach and relax.
I have no fear, for the Eternal Fire protects me.
The Church of the Eternal Fire is out to make things right in the world. They too have a desperate need to control, but in their case it's not just a family, it's the societies of the Witcher's world and all of its peoples. They have a sociopathic agenda that crushes or attempts to control what is unknown and what is outside their definitions of normality. It's the perfect place for a codependent to feel at home, for Tamara to feel like she can bring the out-of-control world to bear and make of it something reasonable. Of course, she, like the church she aligns with, cannot control the world, no more than anyone can fix the Baron if he doesn't want to be fixed. What's astounding here is the writing's believability and authenticity. As in the rest of the quest, despite its being steeped in mythology, the character development and the plot points are grounded in reality. It's no accident that Tamara ends up where she ends up, and it's an excellent narrative turn that makes sense in a subtle way. After Oxenfurt, it takes some time for Geralt to renew his search for Anna, the Baron's wife. His primary concern throughout the entire episode is the location of Ciri, not the Baron's family. In searching for Ciri, he meets the crones of Crookback Bog, powerful witches that preside over Velen. Geralt agrees to help the witches in exchange for information about Ciri. Geralt eventually discovers that the madwoman and intermediary for the witches up to this point is, in fact, Anna, and that she is bound to the crones by a pact. This is the point in the story where Geralt's choices really start to matter. Ultimately, there are two ways this arc is going to end, and Geralt at least partially determines which way things will go. The spirit trapped under the tree that plagues the villagers of Downwarren can be killed, or it can be freed. Let's take a look at what happens if Geralt frees the spirit.
Beauty? What the devil do you mean?
A great mare, a horse fiend. Folk done went mad, lunged at each other, murdering all neighbours or young'uns.
It's the spirit of the forest, taking revenge on those who sought its demise, driving them mad.
Over here!
The terms of the spirit's release are simple. Free me and I will save the children in the swamp. And save the children it does, but not before slaughtering the residents of Downwarren. The spirit clearly has an agenda all its own, and it plays by its own rules. Like the crones and almost every other supernatural sentience in the Witcher's world, the powers that lurk in the shadows are not wholly good or evil, but thinking, feeling agents with plans and motives. The whole Witcher series has been praised for wallowing in moral ambiguity, refusing to paint the world in black and white, but rather in cloudy gray. The supernatural powers in The Witcher 3 may be hostile, friendly, or indifferent to humans, but they are never cheap or arbitrary fantasy cliches that represent good or evil. They make sense in the world and have a place in it, acting and reacting in the grand scheme. The actions of the spirit have a grave effect on the fate of the Baron and his family. Due to the loss of the children, the crones punish Anna, cursing her, turning her into a beast. Geralt attempts to free her from this curse, but she is doomed regardless. She perishes, and upon Geralt's return to Crow's Perch, the seat of the Baron, he finds the forlorn widower swinging from a tree. This, to me, appears to be the destructive path. One might see it as the Baron's just deserts, and a mercy to Anna, who is enslaved and out of her mind. But Tamara, who remains, is left without her mother, and no hope of righting any wrongs done to her by her father. The upside to this path is, of course, the salvation of the children, who are saved from being butchered and eaten by the crones. But this, again, is at the cost of the Baron's family and many of Downwarren's residents. This being The Witcher 3, there is, of course, another way.
Once I was flesh, I shall be flesh once more.
No. I should draw your blood now, let the horse drink it. But I won't. I don't trust you. I have to stop you, destroy you.
Betrayed! Betrayed!
Destroying the spirit in the tree aids the witches, who are awful beings with foul tastes and dark motives. If Geralt does as they command, they eat the children of the orphanage, but don't curse Anna, and the residents of Down Warren continue in relative safety. This results in the more positive of the two endings, at least as far as the Baron and his family are concerned. This decision is one of many hard choices Geralt faces in The Witcher 3. I won't claim that one is right and one is wrong. That would be against the spirit of a game that so eloquently avoids moral absolutes. As has been said before, this kind of difficult and complex choice-making is a strength of the game's quest design and narration.
This is no dark spell, I'm afraid.
Well, what is it then?
She's been through a lot. Lost a child, was carried off by a fiend, lived in the crone's village taking care of children who are now gone. It's left its mark, as it would on anyone.
So it's hopeless. You can't help her. She's to be like this.
I'm sorry.
I know a hermit, a very wise man with a gift for healing. Met him some time past. Lives in the Blue Mountains. I shall take her there.
I shall go with you.
That's impossible, sadly.
Why?
You have duties. Duties deriving from your commitment to the Church of the Eternal Fire.
You said you'd save my mother.
And I kept my word. Your father can care for her now.
He care? You know him. You know what he did to her.
He swears to be a changed man. And in his eyes I see true sorrow. Remorse for his sins. He will care for her. And you've a new life and new duties. To the Eternal Fire.
Fear not. All will be well.
If the spirit in the tree is killed, the Baron is reunited with his wife, who has clearly lost her mind. Anna's madness makes sense, though. Living with a chemically dependent, abusive partner is traumatic. It can and inevitably will result in mental instability, at the very least. Never mind Anna's making a pact of black magic with powerful witches, being sapped of her strength and caused to miscarry, and being dragged through the woods by a fearsome beast. Tamara's psychological scarring and slight codependency that I claimed earlier is her baggage. Anna's baggage, the severity of which matches her experience, is the loss of her mind. But some reconciliation has occurred. As the witch hunter says, the Baron's regrets seem sincere, and it does seem it, at least. There is a small hope at the end, a hope for the Baron and Anna to live together in healing, and even for Tamara to rejoin them in time and try to make a real family. And that's really what the quest has been about. Family. Velen is a foul place of witches and dark magic, war-ravaged and teeming with beasts, but the game doesn't really focus on all of that. It focuses on the people of the world, their pains and their problems, their mistakes and their lies. It's real, despite all the fantasy. The quest title, Family Matters, can easily have two meanings. These are the Baron's family matters, and Geralt is caught up in them, or the game is telling us something about family, that it matters, and that people like the Baron and Anna deserve, or don't deserve, a second chance at making it right. The player's power in deciding whether these characters deserve that chance is a design choice likely influenced by Geralt's deep investment in the Baron's life and family. This story arc, that weaves itself between other main and side quests, that begins in the main quest line and ends as a secondary objective, is one of many, and it alone takes hours to complete. Furthermore, The Witcher 3 doesn't stop being a power fantasy just because its writing is excellent. But Geralt's power here is subtle. It seems accidental on a first playthrough, when the decisions, if no outside sources are consulted, have to be made blindly. This is yet another strength of the game's writing. The complexity of the quest is such that the player is given ultimate power without his or her knowledge, and the integrity of the narrative is not compromised for it. This kind of choose-your-own adventuring is something games can do well, but it's rare that they do so this well. That's it for this week's episode. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe. My name is Ian. This has been Only Single Player. Check out our website, onlysp.com, for all your single-player gaming news. And check back into the channel next week, where I will be continuing my in-depth analysis of The Witcher 3.